Hello, let's get this party started. I'm so excited to talk to you about houses today and what I hear in the house. From each house is the sound of the houses. My name is Seidel Schultz, and I am a sound astrologer here to help you express the sound of your soul. So let me jump in and share my screen so that we can get started right away and just jump in. Okay. So the very first thing that I want to go over is, um, actually, I'm going to start in a different area. So the very first thing is in the middle of your circle are numbers, and the numbers represent the houses. The houses represent different areas of your life. Okay, so this really represents different areas of your life. Now, astro charts is probably my favorite astrology website to look at if you're just beginning, you're new, and you're trying to understand what the heck all of this means, because astrology is a seriously in-depth language to try to understand. So I like astro charts for that so that you can easily understand it, and then it's numbered on the inside. I mean, you don't have to count, whereas other websites you have to kind of like count and figure it out because they don't have the numbers on that. So I like astro charts for that reason. So the next thing that I want to share really quickly is cusp, because that's a word that I use a lot in all of my videos. So cusp means that it's the horn or the beginning of the moon or the luminary. That's what the 1828 dictionary says. It's my favorite dictionary. It's my favorite dictionary. It's a dictionary before God was taken out of the dictionary. So a lot of the definition examples are in the are from the Bible, which I love very much. So the 1828 dictionary talks about the cusp being the horn or the beginning of the luminary. So here we have, these are our luminaries, right? So the cusp is the horn or the beginning of where that house starts. The reason we are looking at that and not like, well, okay, so we have, for example, here in the seventh house is cusped by Capricorn, but most of the house is in Aquarius. However, in order for me to really show up in this Aquarius energy most powerfully, I will need to start by having the Capricorn energy expressing. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So Capricorn, I'm just going to share, this will be an example. Capricorn is like, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. And there's no other right way for me. So it's got this structure that it has to set in place for it to have success. So in order for me to show up in my relationships, in my intimate relationships, in a way where I can be like really quirky, I can really show them who I am, there are certain values that have to be in the relationship that I have to be, that have to be honored for me, by me and by them, in order for me to show up. So this has to be in place. So that's why we're really looking at the cusp of each house, where the house begins. Okay, so we're going to talk about all the houses. I'm going to go through and share what I hear from each one of the houses. So the first house is the house of the character or our body. Like, and this is like who we are as a person, and also really how we can hear our body most clearly, or what our body needs. So one of the ways that I really like, or I should say, I really like to explain it this way, but this is one of the things that I've really heard from the first house. The first house is how people experience our body. And I don't mean like if they were to touch our body, I just mean in the presence of our body, this is how they experience us. Um, let's see. I just wanted to check one thing. Hold on just a second. Okay. All right, let me go back. I just want to make sure I was recording hashtag. This is real life. I was like, oh my gosh, am I talking and not recording? How bad would that be? Okay, so the first, this is real. You guys, this is just like real me. I'm not gonna cut this out. This is just gonna be in it. Okay, so the first house is really how people experience our body. And it's not our body, them touching, or like we need to, like, no, it's nothing like that. It's what they experience in the presence of our energy or our body, because our body holds our energy, right? So whether this is in person or a one-on-one in Zoom, this is what people are going to experience. And it's going to be how they experience us. And it's information on how we experience our body, or what our body needs the most from us, or what our character really needs the most. So this is what I've experienced. So a couple examples. My first house is cussed by Cancer. So when people are around me, and I'm saying not in an intimate way, right? Not in a way where they're like really getting to see my heart. But if I were to just kind of show up in person, I would come off um, very Cancer like, just like very motherly, very like, I look a little bit quieter until I feel really comfortable. And then I can let my moon show, which is Leo, right? So it's very much that. Now, also with that being said, um, my body needs me to nourish it. It needs that care and support. So harsh dieting, I mean, not that I think that it's great for anybody, but it like really backfires with my body. My body needs care and support. It needs gentleness. So my exercise looks like walks. It looks like gentle weightlifting. It does not look like HIIT or running. Like those are some of the really bad things that I could personally do for my body, because it needs that care and support. It needs that gentleness, right? Now, for those that maybe have Leo cusping their first house, their body could be very expressive, especially if they are not listening to their body. So, back pain, or like a lot of body issues if they're not really communicating with their body on a regular basis. Second house. So let's talk about second house. The second house is worth and value and money. But I'm going to say it like this. Our worth and our value leads to us being able to attract and make that money. Okay. So this is really like, I really want you to focus on, one of the things I want you to focus on is our worth and value, and how we express our worth and value, and how we can really tap in to that worth and value. Now, there's also this little piece to it, because I've heard this a lot as I've listened to charts, as I've listened to my own chart and my children's chart and my friends' charts and my clients' charts. The second house can also be very much how we communicate with money, how we communicate with it, and what it is that, like, how we experience it, right? And how best to experience it. So we can look at it that way. So this isn't necessarily um so to make money, I want you to focus on worth and value. Like, this is my value. How can I live in my value, or live in the energy of my value in this? So again, here we have Leo. So this is going to be very expressive. So what I need to do, I need to express my value. I need to share myself. I need to share my ideas. I need to share like the parts of who I am, and like really be in that, right? That's going to be different for every sign. When I'm doing that, I make more money. When I'm having fun, like, can you see my chart right here? I'm like just pointing at it. When I'm having fun doing those things, then it's a lot easier for me to make money. It just naturally happens, right? But this is also how I need to communicate. So it's very important for me that I'm having fun with my money. Okay, so this is how we approach money, and how we can really tap into expressing our worth and our value. The third house is like the most important thing. It can represent travel, like close travel, like within your state. It can represent childhood, like your siblings. It also is a huge representation of our communication, Okay, so when I talk about how we communicate and some of the things that we really value in our communication, we're going to look at Mercury. Mercury governs or rules the third house naturally, like on the regular chart. Um, so we're going to look at our Mercury. We're also going to take a look at that third house. What is important for our communication? What do we value in our communication, especially in communicating with other people? So some of the things, like, so this Virgo in here is like very precise communication. I really like precise communication. So don't tell me that it's 3:15 when it's 3:06. Or don't tell me it's 3 o'clock when it's 3:06. I want to know exactly what time it is. I want to know that it's 3:06. I want to know to the dollar. I want to know to the penny. I just want to be really precise and exact in my communication, right? Now, my Mercury is in Cancer, so I also want it to be loving and nurturing. So if you're going to correct me, show me love, right? But this third house is absolutely plays a big part in our communication and how we want to communicate and be communicated with. The fourth house is generally stated as our home, like how we are in our home. But the one of the big things that I have heard from the fourth house is what we experience when we are at home with ourselves and how to be at home with ourselves. So, really, the fourth house very much supports, to me, is a big supporter of the first house. So, it's like, okay, I want to be nurturing, I want to show up caring, I want to show up in these kinds of ways and be comfortable feeling and firm with myself. If you haven't watched the Cancer video, go watch that. So I want to show up in those ways with myself. So how do I do that? I need to be at home with myself and feel at home with myself. And that doesn't matter where I'm at or who I'm talking to. And this can give me some indicators, this Libra in the fourth house, like Libra cusping the fourth house, can give me some indicators in how I can feel comfortable or at home with myself, regardless of where I'm at. Does that make sense? Also, indicators of how I can experience my home, decorating my home. Um, I go inside. Um, Decorating my home and um, cleaning my home, like being with my family in my home, those are going to be, it's going to be really key indicators right there and how, what is cusping our fourth house. So depending on what sign cusps your fourth house will be really how you're interacting with your home, but also some of the things that are very important for you to feel at home with yourself so that you can be you out in public. Because really, as I'm listening to the chart and as I'm looking at all of this, my whole design and my whole desire is to really hear the chart based on you and your relationship with yourself so that you can then express yourself at a greater degree. Okay, so the fifth house, again, I'll start with some of the things that I have heard, and been taught about the fifth house. The fifth house is creativity. The fifth house is, oh my gosh, I just was thinking something else. The fifth house is our children. The fifth house it can be pleasure, but like just joy. So the thing that I hear from the fifth house, especially for business, and this is probably going to go against everything a lot of people say, is actually marketing, and how we do our marketing and what's really important for us in order to do our marketing and in order for us to really tap into our creativity. So what is it that we need in order to tap into our creativity? Now, here we have, and I'm just sharing so you get a little bit of piece of all the signs. Mine is in Scorpio. So in order for me to like really tap into my creativity and in order for me to put my marketing together, I really need to take some time to go within. And it doesn't have to be long, but it's just, I need to step back from all the sounds of everybody else and really listen to myself and go into that deep space within myself. When I do that, then I get a ton of information, and I get it really fast, right? And that is very Scorpio like. Okay, the sixth house. The sixth house is a house, to me, as I hear it, is our daily action steps and what will help support us in carrying out the daily action steps, the things that we need to get done. So this is like my chores, my health. The sixth house very much supports the 10th house. So like if I look at this, it's like, okay, what is it that I need to do on a daily basis? How do I need to approach my day on a daily basis that will support me showing up in my business in a very Aries kind of way, right? So that's Sagittarius, so that's a head heart alignment. So again, here we have the sixth house really supporting the 10th house. And I would say the fifth house really supports the 11th house. Okay. It's just like, it's so fun to have the houses supporting each other, really supporting each other. Because as I'm listening to charts, as I'm helping people really step into expressing themselves and connecting to their expression so they can have a greater impact on their audience, what I hear oftentimes, I shouldn't say oftentimes, what I hear all the time is 2 and 3 witnesses of the same thing. Like, okay, we've got this information over here, like this part of your chart is saying this, and this part of your chart is also saying this, and it supports you in expressing this area. This area supports you in expressing this area. And it's just like all of these things in your natal chart that are there to help you and to support you in expressing who you are so that you can really live in your mission to fulfill your purpose. So again, sixth house is that daily actions, the daily actions that we need to take. The seventh house, like I was sharing earlier, it is the intimate relationships. Now, oftentimes what will happen is when people look at the seventh house, they'll focus on, this is my marriage. And we have way more intimate relationships than just our marriage. So I'm talking an intimate relationship with our spouse. I'm talking about an intimate relationship with our friends. And I'm also talking about the intimate relationship that we have with ourselves. So I have a specific structure that I have put in place that helps me have an intimate relationship with myself. I'm talking like that friendship and that knowing, like the getting to know me, right? The eighth house, oh man, the eighth house was really confusing to me for a very long time because it felt so out of, I just don't know, out of the realm, right? So it's like other people's assets. It's like other is really like kind of how I started to understand it. But the eighth house is so much about transformation. To me, as I've listened to the eighth house and as I've like really listened to it for myself and for a single person in order for them to be able to be more expressive, this eighth house really is about transformation and transformation within myself. Can you hear my little kitty? He's not a kitty, but hi, did you want to go say hi? Okay, so the eighth house really is about transformation and how we approach that transformation. And what we're needing in transformation and what we can experience in transformation. And really like, because other people or the heavenly messengers coming in the eighth house, or I'm just thinking like when you see like the transferring of people's information, or not information, but like inherited wealth and stuff like that. That will show up in the eighth house as well. But again, that's a transformation. It's a transformation from me to them. Okay, so that is the eighth house. The eighth house is transformation. The ninth house, this is the house of, and I'm just going to classify it as this because it's like learning, it's the house of travel, it's the house of religion, it's the house of teaching. But here to me, this really is like, it's two really solid things. It's learning and teaching. Now, we learn through travel. We learn a lot through travel. We also learn a lot through religion, right? So this really, to me, especially in reference to ourself, has so much to do with learning and teaching. How do I learn? How do I best stand in teaching? And you don't have to be a teacher, you don't have to be a YouTuber, but it's like anytime we're talking to somebody and helping them understand, that's teaching, whether that's our children, whether that's our friend. Anytime we're sharing knowledge, it's right in here, right? Anytime we're learning anything, it's right in here. So very, very important for me that when I'm teaching and when I'm learning something, that I am connecting to a higher power and that I am gaining that information through my higher power. Because, and I actually knew this before I knew natal chart, anything. Like I was told this very specifically, that I would learn things, but that I would learn the most important things from God, which I think is all true. But as I've studied things, the more I study things and I study it through the lens of God, the more clear it is. And this is also very much the case for me when I'm on stage, when I feel comfortable and confident, and I should say, I know that I'm feeling comfortable and confident on stage when I can very clearly hear God. Now, when I'm not comfortable, I'm not confident, then I can't hear God very well at all. And then it just makes it so that I'm presenting from me instead of me presenting from God. Okay, so now we have the 10th house. So the 10th house, it's the house of business. Yes, it's the house of work. It's how we show up in the world. I have a friend, fantastic. You should go follow her. She has a great podcast, Jamie Maddox, Your Nose Knows podcast. She shared with me that she sees the 10th house as our celebrity status, which I really love very much. So it's our job, it's our business, it's our celebrity status. It's like that far away kind of experience of that other person, right? It's also, to me, how we serve God, right? How we are, this is like our kind of like our mission, or how we approach our mission in life, whether that's I was gonna say, whether that's being a mother, and I know that it sounds weird because that's not a faraway thing, right? But being known as that, being known as a mother, right? Or like I was talking to a client one time and we were talking about this, and she does not have a business. And we were talking about her 10th house, and I was like, this, you're really about God's business. And that's what her business is. So to me, this is like your business with God, whatever that might be, whether that's motherhood, whether that's serving other people, whether that's having a business, whether that's having a job. Like this is really about serving others, right? And how we can approach that service with others, and how we naturally do, or we naturally will gravitate to that, and how we can do it in a way that really honors us. So I know, like, I'm feeling this spark, I really want to do this thing in my business, so I'm like, oh, I need to do it so that I can really harness that Aries energy and really feel like me, and express myself in the most succinct way. The 11th house is the house of groups. It's the house of internet. It's like big groups, like friendships, and not just the intimate, but like friendships, and it's the house of our hopes and our dreams. And I think that's, to me, like we'll definitely, how do I want to say this? I think I think that for me, as I've listened a lot to the 11th house, it really has been so much when it comes again to us and expressing ourselves. It really is so much about our hopes and our dreams and being able to connect to our hopes and dreams, being able to express them and being able to receive them. What do I need to do in order to receive my hopes and my dreams? Those answers will come in the 11th house. What do I need to How do I need to approach my hopes and my dreams? That comes at the cusp of the 11th house. That is what I really hear. Now, friendships, we will experience these things through friendships as well. We will experience them through the internet. Very much we will experience it through the internet. But also, it just like when it comes to ourselves and that connection with us, very much about the hopes and the dreams. Okay, and then the 12th house. I freaking love the 12th house. I love all the houses. How could I not love all the houses? But the 12th house to me really is, it was so confusing at first. It was like the 8th house and the 12th house I could not figure out for the longest time. It really took listening to the house for me to figure it out. But the 12th house is our personal relationship with God. This isn't religion. This isn't someone else telling us who he is or how he is or how they are or how the universe is. This isn't that 12, that's not the 12th house. This is how I interact with God. This is how I interact with my divine and what I will experience as I interact with them. And you would believe, like, us talking to each other and me listening to God and me talking to God is wildly important. Me having fun with God is wildly important in my life. And as I do that, it leads me to this place of feeling very nurtured and very cared for and supported. I could not access this Cancer energy in that care for and support if I was not communicating with God on a regular basis. And I mean, like, yes, prayer, yes, for that for sure, but also these daily conversations, just in my head and checking in, but then also really big time journaling where I'm giving God the pen and I'm really letting him talk in my life. Now the 9th house really can support this 12th house place, right? Because we are learning how we are learning. Religion will help us learn, can help us learn about God, but does not always. I just want to say that because sometimes it's really important that we give that distinction. And sometimes we just need to take a step away so that we can really hear God clearly. So I just want you to know this is not an advocation for any specific religion. This is an advocation for you to have a personal relationship with God, and how you will approach that relationship is by what is cusping your 12th house. That is going to really help you step into having a more solid relationship with God. So that's it. That's the houses. Um, is there a house that you just feel so drawn to the most? I would love to know what that is in the comments, and also anything that like really stood out to you as you listen to this video. Like and subscribe for more Sound of Astrology videos, and I will see you next time.